Welcome to Film Study Podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate the podcast 5 stars, all that good stuff. I'm not here to talk about rating the podcast right now, but I'm here to have a conversation with Chynna Ladage from All American. She's an All American staff writer. I'm so excited to have this conversation with her. And yeah, you ready to hop into it?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk about everything All American and the 100th episode and just whatever questions you have.
I know, same here. And you're like, I feel like you're also like you're a writer, but you're also a fan as well.
I am. I'm such a fan. During the table read for the 100th episode, NK was very nice and kind of told everyone who was there, the people, like the cast and the crew that were there watching. She's like, and I picked Chynna to co-write because, like, I don't know if you'll find a bigger fan on our cast and crew. And I'm like, yes, this is true. I'm such a fan. So it's really interesting. I think it's really nice to get to love what I write for and like
Yeah.
love the show I work on.
Yeah. No, that's so true. How did you get to All American?
So it's kind of a weird story. I actually started in reality TV. I don't know. I get mixed results
Really?
with people knowing what Catfish is, like the TV
I
show
do
on
know what
MTV.
Catfish.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
worked on
with
Catfish.
Cammy Crawford and Nev and yeah.
Yeah, so I worked on it back with the original hosts, Neve and Max.
Okay.
So it's been a hot minute. But I started there, and we were in a really big office with other reality shows. And I got to know different people that worked on different reality shows, and one person included Michelle. And one day I was like, Michelle, I'm quitting this job. There's no room for growth here because like no one wanted to leave. So there's no room for promotion because it's such a great job. Like you work year round, you travel the country, sometimes to other countries.
Yeah.
No one wanted to leave. And I was like, I don't want to be a PA forever. And she was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, do you have something lined up? And my dumb ass was like, no, I don't know what I'm doing after this.
That's so real though.
I know. She was like, okay, well, I'm going to go work on this new scripted pilot as the assistant production office coordinator. We need
Mhm.
office PAs. Would you be interested? I can get you an interview. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I did that, and that scripted pilot ended up being the All American pilot.
Wow.
Yeah. So Michelle was our assistant production office coordinator. Then she became our production office coordinator. And now she's the production office coordinator. And I think she has like another fancy title that I can't remember right now on Homecoming. So shout out to Michelle.
Wow. Yeah. Shout out to Michelle. Also, that's kind of baller of you to be like, yeah, I don't have anything else lined up, but I
I
got a
was
piece. I got a piece
I
now.
was young. I was younger. I didn't understand paying bills yet. I lived like with my grandparents at home, so I was like, I got a place to live. What else do I need?
That's so real. Again, that's so real of you though, because I had that same experience in a totally different circumstance. But I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have another job lined up, but I gotta find something else. That's really cool. And to go from, like you said, sort of PAing to becoming a staff writer, that is quite the change. So how did just like this journey of yours from being a PA to becoming a writer go for you?
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to tell stories and I wanted to write. And when I worked on the show as an office PA on the pilot, I got to work with the creator of the show, April Blair. And I was just like, you have my dream job. This pilot is amazing. This is like exactly the kind of show I want to like write and work for one day. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you. And if you get picked up to series, like please consider me for your writer's PA or your assistant or like anything you need. Even if I'm just the
Yeah.
office PA, I'm happy to just work on the show. And I worked weekends during the pilot and I like worked late, and one weekend she's like, I need a volunteer. And I was like, me, please. Um, and she's like, great, we're going to do a run. So the way pilots work is the studio and the network, before you shoot the pilot, they have a big table read in front of like
Right.
all the executives. So the smart thing to do is to do a practice table read so that you're not going in like blind, so that everyone gets
That's
to meet.
true. Project
So
Greenlight taught me that.
yeah, so like the cast gets to meet each other and like you run through it. And I helped with the practice table read. So that's actually the first time I met the cast and everyone. And April was just like, oh, we forgot to get someone to read all the action lines, like the exterior football field, like ball is thrown, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the narration lines, yeah.
The narration lines. And I was like, do you need me to do it? I'm here. I just helped you. I just, made sure all the actors made it into our office. And she was like, yeah, that'd be perfect. Thanks, Chynna. And I didn't know, like, I came from a school where we did that. We read the narration lines. We were always like really into it because we were like young
Mm-hmm.
film kids. We'd always be like, exterior, blah, 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 blah. So and so does this cool thing. So I got there and I was like, exterior football field night. South Crenshaw High plays the game on the field. Like the
Yeah,
football soars
you were
over
eating
the. I was just like going for it. Everyone was like, okay. And April was like, that was great. You're going to do that again tomorrow in front of all the studio and network execs. And I was like, excuse me? What? But that's literally how she ended up hiring me as writer's PA. She was like, you're going to do that at every single table read.
No.
And I was
That's
like,
amazing though, because you actually like low-key got this show picked up. I'm not even gonna lie. You added the drama, because even when you were saying, I was just like, man, we did go to Crenshaw. We did start at South Crenshaw.
yeah, it's like, it was so funny. It was so weird. It was such a great experience. So I got to do that all through my first season. And my first season was interesting as a writer's PA. It's kind of like an unsung hero of the job. So shout out to all the writers PAs, because you basically, and I say this with all the love in my heart for all the writers, because no one's mean. Everyone's very lovely. And everyone like thanks you and like, but for the most part, you're very like unnoticed unless you mess up.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Right.
it's like
I feel you.
everything's fine until you're like, why is there no bananas stocked? Or like, I didn't want tomato in my lunch. And then you're like, oh no, I did the wrong thing. So it was a very like interesting first season, and it felt very high. It felt very like high stakes in the way that high
Mm-hmm.
school stuff was so high stakes for the all American characters. You're like, this
You were
love
going
life.
through it too.
I was going through it too. I was like, oh my god. I was like trying to open their
New environment
sandwiches.
after coming off of reality TV, very different.
I was like, excuse me, the sandwich has tomatoes. We said no tomatoes, so you either need to remake it or you need to put gloves on and take that tomato out, because
Right.
it was just and then it's just the same thing with like it just I felt like I was going through it with these characters, and I
Yeah.
just got lucky, and Kay ended up taking over during the first season, and she had been with her assistant Cam had been with her for a couple years. So he got staffed season 2. So she was like, well, I need a new assistant. Chynna, you did a great job season 1. Do you want to be my assistant? And I was like, hell yeah. And
Yeah.
it's so funny because Cam's like packet or like instructions to me on how to be her assistant was literally 1 page. It was just like, you take notes during the notes calls. You send them to these 4 people. Here is her manager, and here is her agent, and here is her business manager. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's it. Like, I answer the phone and I schedule some stuff and
You're
take
like, this
notes.
is gonna be easy peasy.
Yeah, so when I graduated from her desk and became a staff writer, my packet was like 35 pages because this lady went and sold, a bunch of shows. She started show running 3
Yes.
shows. So her desk became incredibly crazy. And it's so funny because I'm like, wow, it went from a 1 page how to like, I'm like, here is 35 pages. Um, but yeah, so I got really lucky on her desk. I learned so much. I got to be in the writer's room for like 3 different I was there for the sale of Homecoming and Found and some other shows. I don't know if I can like
Yeah.
bring up what they actually are. But like I was on the pilot for Found, and I
Go on
got to like,
IMDb, you might find them. Wink, wink. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure like Deadline has like mention of them.
Yeah, in the articles,
Um,
yeah.
if you search like Nkeiichio Carol Deadline, I'm sure it'll tell you.
It'll come up.
Um,
That's really cool though. Like, not only obviously the sale of all of those shows and, as she becomes, right, there was literally just an article yesterday about her becoming like one of the top Black women in
Yeah,
Hollywood with the amount of shows that she's running and the amount of shows that she has on air, but also through all of the just industry landscape changes that came with All American in terms of like obviously the sale of the network and the COVID and like again like just so many different things, and then the strike happened. So wow, you really were like in a good way like thrown into the deep end and like
I
grew
was.
with all of this. Yeah.
I did, yeah. It's very wild. It's very fun. But basically, I just got to absorb and learn from All American Homecoming, from Found. Um, Through people I met, I ended up taking more writing classes. I think you should always be working on your writing, and you can like always get better and learn more. So even though I had gone to school for it and I had been writing through like all the years of working on All American, I was like, I don't feel ready to like show my work to my bosses if they ask. I really want to step up my game because I had seen other assistants who like showed their work and their work was like, hell yeah, good job. We're gonna like give you an opportunity to freelance. And then they got staffed, like Micah and Carrie, and like I don't know if you know
Right.
Jen. She works on Found. She was on All American, and then she got staffed on Found. Um,
Cool.
and then yeah, Cam was staffed on All American, and then he
Is
moved to
that Jen King?
Homecoming.
Is this
Yeah,
the
Jen
last name? Am
King.
I gonna get? Okay. I I feel like I try to be really good about the writers. That's
I
really
love
cool.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but I also did see some people who were like, here's my writing. And they were like, here are some notes. Try again. And I
Hmm.
was like, I don't want to try again. I want it to be right the first time. So I took some classes. I'm like always trying to improve my writing, improve myself. And um, so I gave them my script finally, and they were like, this is great. Like, why you been hiding? And I'm like, I was scared. Um, I was just a little shy. And that was like a note I got back. Like at the end of each season, I had a check in with NK, and I'm like, how did we do this season? What can I do better? And stuff like that. And like the note I got most often was like, you really need to work on your confidence, and like your ability to believe in like yourself and your writing. So I like to
Yeah.
think I'm much better at that now. Um, since I think I am, I got staff.
Well,
So
now I'm gonna be like, so what's your? I don't know if you could give your quick pitch, but like, what are your what sort of shows do you write or like do you love write outside of All American? What's your go to thing to write?
so All Americans a really good example actually, because I love the like young adult, new adult, um, soapy, dramatic, like
Mm,
coming of age world. But I usually
yeah.
add like a supernatural or horror element. So
Oh.
like if we actually had like Billy come back as a ghost, I'd be like, "Mwah, this is
You'd be like
exactly my
all over that.
lane." I know. I was like so happy when we kind of brought Sean back, and there was like the
Right.
hint of things.
Oh, that was a great moment too.
I was like, yes. Um, and just on that, I saw someone tweet, and this is shout out to that person. They're like, how did Sean die with a fade and he came back with cornrows? And poor Jay Reeves actually was like, my hair's different from the last time we were on it. Like, do I need to shave it? I had to grow it for something else I'm on. And we were like, no, we'll put a hat
Nope,
on
you're
you or
fine.
something. Like, it's fine. Like, you're on another show. Like, we can't like make you change your like. So the
Right.
reason he has cornrows is he had to do it for another project he's on.
Right. Also, I didn't know that well because you mentioned Twitter and I just thought of your tweet where I did not realize that it was a bunch of little Spencers like following Spencer around. I literally thought it
Yeah,
was just like a bunch of players. That was really cool.
yeah. So I know we didn't get a cool shot of like the back of their jerseys, but it was supposed to represent, yeah, like little Spencers chasing big
Hmm.
Spencer, adult Spencer,
Yeah.
and
That's
being like, get
amazing, like
your
through
shit
all of
together.
his Pee Wee years, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
That's really great. That's really yeah, because originally I thought it was just like that was his team and they were going. But it was really cool that you posted that picture. That's amazing.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was really cute to see all the little kids in the little church. They're like walking with their little cleats and their football pads, and they're just like, yeah.
I'm Spencer James. I had
Literally,
to do
that
the
was
voice.
literally that. It was the cutest thing ever.
talking about the 100th episode, huge task, huge honor again. Like, congratulations again. What was a process like for building that? Like, for getting the little Spencers, for thinking about all of these ideas, breaking it into the room to like actually being on set and helping, see it as it's filmed, helping produce it.
Yeah, so just like a quick big picture thing. Basically, like at the start of the season, showrunners get together and they're like, this is what we want to happen, like big picture this season. So we always know like kind of what events are going to happen in each episode. And then as the writer's room, we kind of build the actual episode. We're like, okay, this is the event of the episode. Our characters are starting in this emotional state. We need them to end up here so that for the next episode, we have this next event. So we always knew it was going to be like big championship game. And that, like GAU would like triumph and like Spencer. And we had set up, so there's a lot of things that we had set up that like we wanted to pay off in this episode. And as a staff writer, my job is to basically be like, what is your vision? Like, how can I help bring that to life? I think it's technically all writers' jobs is like, what is the showrunner's vision? Like, well, how can we bring that to life? And then, so like NK had some big ideas, and then I kind of brought in, and it was so hard because Billy was in 608. So I would have loved to have Tay in episode 100, but 608 is so good, and like I'm so glad we had that episode. And I think it would have been a lot to have Tay in 100 as well. We wouldn't have been able to he deserved that big story of like the letters of the journal. So I'm really glad we got that. But we were like, okay, like we can't have Billy back. Like, what else is going? Like, what else? Like, I very much thought it'd be fun to do like Ghosts of Christmas Past. So that's why I was like Billy and Sean, and I don't even like anyone else who we've had in the past. And and then NK got the idea. She's like, Ghosts of Football Fields Past. So we talked a lot offline, like not in the room ahead of the episode. We'd be like, what do we want to do? What are some ideas we have? And she had her ideas, and I brought some to the table as well. And then in the room, we're like, here is kind of like the big picture. How do we make? And she always knew like she wanted Asher to like come back and play on the field. And that's why we set up the whole like in the beginning he was returning to the doctor and they were kind of clearing him. And I like a staff writer, like sometimes you get assigned research, so like I talk to actual doctors and I'm like, would
cool.
this like physically be possible, or like is he doomed to always have a heart problem? Right. And they were like, we wouldn't recommend it, but like technically yes, he could. Like, as doctors we'll probably be like, but like,
probably not, but it's TV. Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're a little bit like, but in TV world, like, I mean, in real life, I think they can, like, with medication and diet and exercise and stuff, they definitely can get a lot better. So it's, it wasn't like unrealistic in that sense. But
it just wasn't. It wasn't like recommended. It was one of those things where it's like 7 out of 10 doctors.
Yes, it's like what is it, like those toothpaste ads? Like 7 out of 10 dentists recommend. Yeah. But or like who's the one dentist who doesn't? Yeah, there's like the one doctor who doesn't recommend. Right. And then the Jordan and Layla of it all, and then Coop, Patience, and Miko, and of course like Bolivia, my loves. I
love it.
Just there's just a lot to cover because we wanted this to also be a turning point for Olivia with her book.
Right.
A big moment for Spencer on the field, getting his much deserved win. Right. Jordan and Layla relationship, and then we originally only had 13 episodes, so we were like, we're kind of planned. So this was episode 9, so we're like, we need to start like setting up for the wrap up of like Miko Coop storyline and like Asher's storyline. We just don't know what's happening next. Like, but for this season's wrap up,
Right. Exactly.
If that makes sense. I don't know if
it does. It does.
Okay, cool. So just
Season wrap up, yeah.
it's like as we're getting to the end, we have like a lot to cover still, but we like wanted to
Exactly.
have like these big character moments. And I will just beat you to the punch here. Of course there were discussions of a rain kiss.
I didn't even think about that. That's not even on my list.
That is so
I love
funny.
I love that you said no. I thank you. Please clear this up for the audience. I was not I was not as pro rain kiss as other people, but this was a big deal. It was
It
such a big
was.
deal to
I
people.
did see. I'm also like a teen drama person. I grew up watching A Cinderella Story, watching Austin
Mm-hmm.
Ames and Hilary Duff. I can't. Oh my god, I can't remember Hilary Duff's character's name, but I remember Austin
Yeah,
Ames. Who am
but I know
I?
what you're talking about. Yeah, and then
Um,
like, what was it?
Waiting for
It's
You is like waiting for
Brooke
rain in
and
the drought.
Lucas, One
Yes,
Tree Hill. Yeah.
like so I get it. I totally get it. And as a fan of TV and like things, it was hard to like not do it. But in this case of the episode, I just think the story was more about Spencer and his friendship with Jordan and Asher. Olivia's
Mm-hmm.
story was more about her book.
Mm-hmm.
Layla and Jordan was more about like Layla's mental health
They had a
and like
lot
them as a
going on.
couple.
Yes.
And also, I would just like to quote NK, Black women are not trying to get their hair wet.
That's so real. Thank you.
Um, I'm like, I get it. Like it's I like to point out our poor wonderful hair department. They would have been like,
Listen, again, and people get on me for this because I've like always been. I'm just like, I don't see a ring. I don't see it. But specifically because I was just like, if I'm thinking about myself, I'm gonna. My first thought is gonna be like, get me out of the rain. Get me out of the rain. I gotta cover my.
yeah. So
So I totally get that. I understand the disappointment, but I also get it.
yeah, no, I get it, and I think as a writer, we want to make our fans as happy as we can. But I
Hmm.
also have seen the most conflicting tweets from different people. Like I've literally opened Twitter before and I've seen someone say, "I'm so sick of this football. Where's the drama?" And then the next tweet is literally, "Where's the football? I'm sick of this drama."
Literally, yes.
So I don't think we'll
Why are we
ever make
focused on the
everyone happy.
relationships? We only need to focus on the relationships, yes.
Yeah. So I'm like,
And they're all equally like very, very. I think like you see them like they're just everywhere. You see all opinions everywhere.
yeah. And I love our fans for that. I love that they have strong opinions and have such strong emotions about the show because that means they care about it and they care about these characters and their storylines. And we love that. And I'm so thankful for the fans. Fans, I love you. Um, I don't love when you at me and say very mean things, but
Oh
I
no.
understand you're passionate. So thank you for being passionate about the show. That really means a lot. We're here at 100 episodes because of you, like
Yeah.
because you watched us and supported us, and because you brought us into your lives.
But also don't say mean things,
But
please.
yeah, or if you do, just don't at me. You don't have to at
Right,
me.
exactly. Exactly. Don't add her. Don't mention her.
Just I'll probably still see it, but don't worry about it. Don't like
Exactly. Just let's all be chill. That's like that is something that I am thankful for because I've gotten some of that too. And it's just like when they don't like actually at me, I'm like, yeah, see, I will only see this if the other people send it to me.
exactly.
But it also just speaks to I think the writers in general, but you in particular, just that you do care about like how this is received. And I love that was even a discussion. That was even a discussion point because I think that's really cool. I love that. Wow. I'm stuck on the rain kiss of it all because it was people had strong opinions about that last
It's
night.
very strong opinions. Again, all I can really say is keep
Hmm.
watching.
Keep watching. Keep
Keep
watching.
watching.
Um This is like almost a hard left turn, but how was it working with Daniel as a director?
So I have been lucky enough to actually have both episodes that I've co-written, directed by actors. So my first episode
Whoa!
was last season, and it was Karima's first episode she directed. So it was very exciting to
Wow.
work with her. Shout out to Karima. We
Yeah.
both had our like little firsts together.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a quinceañera.
yeah. And then Daniel is just like such a dream. He's so professional. He's so collaborative. You would not believe. I was literally so terrified the first day on set because NK was running late because she had to deal with something. And I
Mhm.
was like, I'm the producer on set. I have to tell Daniel if something's not going right, or if we need to
Yeah.
like adjust the take. Or I was like, oh my god, I'm in charge. I was like, who let me be? I'm a child. Who let me be in charge?
Who let me do that? It's only my third day out here.
Yeah, literally how I felt. I was like, I'm a teenager. Who's doing this? Yeah, sometimes I forget I'm not 17 anymore, which is wild.
No, I feel that.
Um, and I was just like, basically you're sitting in this tent and you have like the screens that
The
show what's
monitor.
happening, the monitors.
Mhm.
And then they have a separate tent that's closer that Daniel runs to, and he like checks the playback because he was in
Mhm.
the scene. The very first scene was the Sean Daniel scene, Sean,
Oh
Sean
wow.
Spencer scene. Sorry, I will keep going
Yeah.
between their names. Sorry.
No, you're good.
On the Get Up Fool, that scene, and I had like a note, and I was like, I have a note, I have a note, and they're like, okay, good for you. And I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, we can give it, or you can give it to Daniel. Like, so I was like, do I just run up to him? Because he's in the scene. And they're like,
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm like running over to where they're filming, and I'm like, hey,
I love this recounting.
I'm like, hey, I have a little note, Daniel. And he was like, oh my God, yeah, of course. He's like on the ground, like on the
Yeah.
grass. And he like pops up and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, what's up? And I like tell him, and then he's like, okay, I got this. And then he like, gives the note and
Yeah.
like to Jay and himself. He's like, he goes in director mode, and then he's like, okay, actor mode. What do I tell myself? What do I tell Jay?
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like obviously he's such a great director that like the next take was perfect.
Mhm.
But he just like checks with you. He's like, I thought
Mhm.
that looked good. Did you think that looked good? And I'm like, yeah. Um, and he's just great, and he just gets it. And there's interviews with him where he talks about his process, and it's just amazing. And for all those writers that are listening, Daniel very highly recommends writers take acting classes so we understand how actors think.
How
So
to
my
communicate,
next
yeah.
class is going to be like an acting class. So
That's
I want to be a
amazing.
better writer. So
Yeah. That's cool. And I was actually going to ask you, that was cool to hear that story. And for you, because you shared like in the past, it was just like working on your confidence and like really speaking up. So like how was that to like be, be this
yeah,
into the episode, that like gaining the confidence to be like, okay, I'm gonna go up. Because I think this is like, I have a lot of writer friends and a lot of writers that listen to the show, and I think this would be really cool for them to hear, like just how you did it, because you did it.
yeah. At It's so funny because there's actually the Coop line about like when Layla's like, "What's the scariest thing you've ever done?" And Coop's like, "You just have to like put the fear away and you do it for the people you love." And this wasn't necessarily like for people. It was like I love myself and I love the fans and I want them to have the best version of this story. So like you have to go up and be like pocket the fear and be like, "All right, here's the note." And then luckily, like, so Charles, our producer, and NK were on set sometimes, most of the time. But like if they stepped away or something, I could be like, "Hey Charles, I think I have this
Hmm.
note. Do you agree?" Like I had someone to like check with and be like, "Am I crazy or
Mm,
do you think you agree?"
yeah.
Or like I know some things that NK wanted because we have like a tone meeting, and basically she like
Yeah, right,
runs
right,
through the
right.
script and this is what she wants the scenes to look like. And I'm like, okay, we're not hitting the note she wanted. So I'm like, I have to give this note because she's not here to give it herself. Like, it's my job as the producer on set to like make sure we get what the showrunner wants. So
For
it just you
sure.
just have
For
to do.
sure.
I'm like, why? Because I want employment. I would like to stay employed.
That's so real, especially with this sort of a job where it's such a relationship based
Yeah.
industry, for sure, for sure. And that's just, yeah, that's just so amazing because we don't, yeah, I think that as fans we don't often understand the ins and the outs of how an episode gets made in television. So to hear about things like tone meeting, to hear about things like notes is just like that's really really cool for me, especially
Yeah, there's
because that's part of the reason I made
honestly
this show.
yeah, honestly, there's so much on the business side I wish I could that I've learned as a showrunner's assistant,
Hmm.
that I wish I could explain and be like, when people are like, "Why didn't this happen?" Or like, "Why wasn't this actor in it?" Or like, "This doesn't make sense." I'm like, because we're humans and people get sick last minute or things happen and then you have
Exactly.
to like
Yeah.
rewrite
People
things at
have
the
other
last minute.
jobs or there's like budgetary
I'm
constrictions or
like I'm like, our actors are all amazing, so they stay busy. So sometimes the
hmm
people that you're like, I don't know why this actor wasn't in this scene. It's like they were busy on their other show, or like
right.
they're too popular. They're too
Or like
good.
Michael got hurt
Yes.
during the thing.
So yes,
It's not fun.
so
It's just like it's crazy because it's like that sort of had to. I noticed some shooting around Jordan, and only
yeah,
because we were tuned in because we knew that at some point Michael was gonna get hurt.
yes. So we did lose some mic from stuff, and we I applaud our camera team, our lighting team, and our special effects visual teams,
Hmm.
because they did the whole they like did an amazing job putting like I don't know, I know some people noticed it, like Mike's head on, because like he literally was not there, so like that's literally, it's not AI, it's literally like people trying to make it look the best they can, like yeah, so
By the way, with the network schedule that I feel is pretty crazy, especially
yeah,
because there has been I have said this in different episodes, but I was so shocked that at least up until now that there hasn't been any sort of any sort of like a mid season break, to at least have more time to like work on the episode. So
yeah,
I know that you all are like going crazy behind the scenes to even be able to get us these episodes at at this pace that we're at, because there is no mid-season break or any sort of like a week break in between.
yeah. So yeah, the editing team post is insane. They like, in the best way, they just get it done. And
Yeah,
they're like, and our
exactly.
editors are just so good at what they do. And Daniel, actually, again, a testament to him as a director.
Hmm.
His director's cut was so amazing. So it like was pretty close to our final cut. Yeah, so he did a great job. He just, while we were shooting, he was like, all right, this is what I'm picturing in the editing room. So like I don't need to waste time getting these extra shots because I know exactly how I want this to look.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we
I
did
heard
like
that he said that it's specifically for a couple of scenes too. What was it? I want to say the Jordan and Layla scene that he said that like when he's read the scene, he just like saw
yeah,
it
he
in his
just like
head.
saw it. Yeah, he went in there and he was like, I already know. 'Cause sometimes like you go to a scene and you're like trying to figure out the blocking and you're like, okay, this is how we like, this is what production design made the room look like, or this is just how the room was built. We can put them here, and then the cameras go here. Let's try it out. And we have like stand-ins who come and kind of like run through the scene, and we move them around. And it's almost like you're a child again playing like Barbies. You're
Right.
like, go here. You're like, no, 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 try over here. But no,
Yeah.
Daniel walked in and was like, I already know what I want. Greta's gonna be here. She's gonna go in the closet. Mike's gonna be here. He's gonna come out. We're gonna have this mirror shot. They're gonna like come sit on this little chair, and we're gonna like get
Right.
in. And he was just like, it was. I was like, woo,
Like you know what you're doing.
you know what you're. I'm like, teach me your ways, Daniel.
That's amazing. Sorry, you reminded me so much of my friend that it's so funny. You just say similar things.
I love that.
um, speaking of like the 100th in these shots, what was like the best part of filming for you for this 100th episode?
Oh, that's a great question because there's just so many cool things. Um, I think so. I have a video I will post on Twitter where I'm like laughing like a little gremlin in the background. The first time we like turned the rain on,
Oh
on
yeah, the rain machine.
The
Yeah.
Rose Bowl Stadium. because it's just these giant like sprinkler systems that they like
Right.
have on giant machines, and they come up so slowly, and then they're like, okay, we're turning the water on, and then you just sit there and you're like, what? Where's the? And then you see it through like the pumps. It looks like a fire hose. So
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you see the
yeah.
water like whoop, whoop, like
Right. And
slowly
then it's
move
like
up
only
the.
it's literally like a section. Like
Yeah, and then it's like, but I literally took a video and then ran to the video village and like took a video of the monitor to be like, this is what it looks like in real life. This is what it looks like
yeah.
on the monitor. But
Right.
I was literally laughing like a little gremlin the whole time because it was
That's
just so cool to
amazing.
see. Um, and yeah, I wasn't there for like on set the first time we filmed the Rose Bowl season one, but like hearing Daniel talk about it, how the Rose Bowl was like, you can't step on the grass, you can't do this, like you need to stay off the grass, and like you get like this tiny little section to shoot in. Being able to be like, we're taking over the whole Rose Bowl, wild, wild.
That is crazy. Well, it is so funny because it is an iconic location, and I have a friend that actually almost every morning goes and walks, and she was so excited. She was just like, I think All American is filming here at work, and she was like, I think All American is filming here, and I was like, oh, they are shooting the 100th episode. So it's like,
Oh my
that's
god,
really cool.
what's
Yeah. So it was like, even for the locals, it was really cool for them to just see that happening, and for the folks that live in Pasadena.
Yeah, and shout out to our drone operators that did that really cool. I wish we could like I wish there was more like options to show like behind the scenes extended things,
Hmm.
because the whole shot um of the drone
Of
shot of
the
Daniel getting
team
off
coming
the
in.
bus,
Yeah,
and
the
then like
bus.
the drone comes up and around. It was really cool. It was a beautiful shot. Also, I was obsessed with the drone because they had the tiniest little slate that was like all American drone shot, and it was like this big, and they put it in front of the little drone camera, and I was
Do you have
like,
a
wait,
picture of that?
I do. I'll post it. I'll post it. I
Okay,
have to find
cool.
it.
I want to
We're
see
gonna.
the tiny slate.
It's so
Also, because
cute.
all American slates are cool. I don't know. It's just like
They
because the
are.
lettering is cool. I don't know, but that was so okay. That was your favorite filming moment. What was your favorite like actual? This can either be like the a scene that you wrote, or like the actual finished product where you were just like, oh my goodness, I didn't know it was gonna come out like that. But what was your like favorite moment in the episode?
Um, so my favorite moment, actually, we had to cut it.
Oh
Um,
no!
I don't know if you saw the Deadline article. NK was very kind when she said it was like a very beautiful scene. Not to be like that person, but it kind of was.
Yeah.
It was my favorite scene to write. I really, really liked it, but we just had to. I worked really hard on it, and I was like, "This is my
Hmm.
baby of the episode." It's
Yeah.
just like time, money, and location. We had to
Mm.
like, you
Yeah.
know,
Cut it.
it's stuff
It
happened, life
happens.
happens.
It's just listen. Life does happen. There's still
Um,
one scene. There's a couple of scenes that I know for a fact are scenes, and either have been like I that have been shown in trailers, but we haven't actually
yeah,
gotten in the episode. That I'm like, oh, I just want to see that scene.
I feel that deeply. I feel that deeply. I'm like, as a fan, I'm waiting for them to release like a box set of Blu-rays or DVDs
Exactly.
with all the extras, because I don't know if I'm supposed to
We
say
need it.
this,
We deserve
but
it. I think we've earned it.
like at the end of every season, they like give us a list of deleted scenes, and they're like, which ones
Hmm.
would you like for like the extras?
Right.
And we pick, and then I'm like, but where do they go? Where's the
I
ex-
know.
I want I'm like, I want that. Where's the extras? Give me that like extra content. So
That's so
I
real.
swear they must exist somewhere. It's just we're waiting for that box
It's
set.
gonna come. It's gonna come out in the box set. I have
It's
faith.
gonna
I
come
have
out in the
faith.
box set. But other than that, so this will be this will be a controversial take probably. Um,
Is it a
but
ship take?
no, it's more like I know
Okay.
some people were like not super thrilled about this scene. Um, but I did end up getting to write Asher's locker room speech.
Hmm.
Um, and I will just say, like, we wanted Spencer to be inspired by how like Coastal showed heart, because we had this whole like storyline of like analytics versus heart throughout the season, and we really wanted that moment Spencer to be like, they're doing exactly what I would have like done. um
Yeah.
why can't you see that like I'm
And
right?
yeah, I think like storyline wise, for the culmination of that, even in that episode, where we see that Spencer has gone to the sidelines and talks to Kenny and Mac, that for, well, really Kenny, and then Mac sort of comes into the conversation, and is just like, well, analytics got us here, and we see Kenny sort of like brushing him off a little bit, and then we see again, because he said, what was the line? It was just like, we have to dig deep, right? We're giving our all
Yeah,
in the field, so now it's time to dig deep. And so for Spencer specifically, I can totally see how like him seeing Asher come out after like not having played in a very long time, and give it his all on the field is just like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
yeah, but so it was interesting to write a scene where Asher got to like give the big halftime locker room speech, but it was very fun, and Cody's a fantastic actor and he's such a nice person. I've known him for like 6 years now, and he's always been nothing but like kind and sweet to me. Um, and just like watching him do that scene and then like suit up and everything was very emotional, just as a person who's worked on it and like who knows. I mean, like, I'm not like best friends with Cody or anything, but like knows Cody and talked to him after the fact, and like he told me how much it meant to him, like this as a person who's played this character for six
Right.
years.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, oh, that's really emotional.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I'm like, but it was just, and like again, it also, I just was very over. So my only sob tale that I will give you, that I'm not trying to like bring down anything, but my my beloved grandma passed during my first episode I wrote.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
like literally, I was turning in revisions and it happened, and I was with
I'm
her,
so
so it was
sorry
it
to
was
hear
okay.
that.
But I started having like little flashbacks, and I was like, oh, the last time I did an episode, I was had to leave because I had to go to her funeral. So it's just like, I think I like got overwhelmed with emotion. So like at one point I was like on set and I was like crying, and everyone's like, are you
Yeah.
okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm just emotional. Um, so I
Yeah.
like ran away at the Rose Bowl at one point. Like during lunch, I like hid in a corner and
Just
like
to have a
cried
private
out loud.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like called my husband and I was like, I'm crying and I don't know why. And he's like, do you need me to come to the Rose Bowl? And I was like, I'll be okay. I'm like, I'm just so happy because everyone's killing it, but I'm also sad.
Yeah. No, that in it, like for the show to be dealing with grief in a lot of ways, like
Yeah.
that is so, yeah, that is so emotional.
Yeah. So yeah, she was like my favorite person. So it's just like, I
Mhm.
feel it when all the characters go through grief. I'm like, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. And like, yeah, grief is what I love about this show and how they've shown grief is that it's not linear, and it's
It's
like often unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I love Layla so much. She means a lot to me. I like, I'm very open about like my mental health in the writers room, and I do take like antidepressants and like mood stabilizers. And my funny story is that during this season, I also ended up stopping taking my meds. Kind of like of my own volition, and not I was not like inspired by the show. It was more just like, sometimes you just feel so good and you're like, I'm fine. I don't need these anymore. Like,
Yeah.
this is dumb. Why
Exactly.
do I have to take these stupid medications? Um, so I stopped, and then after like a month, my husband's like, something's different. Something's happening. Have you been taking your med? And I was like, ooh. And then he
Art
watching
is really a
episodes,
reflection of life.
literally. And then he was like watching episodes with me, and he was like,
He was like, oh.
But my message is too that it's okay to take medication every day. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
Destigmatize taking care of your mental health. I am back on my meds and better than ever, and it was okay that I had to take meds every day. And
yeah.
Layla's journey very much is just like, healing is not linear, and your mental health is
No.
something that like fluctuates throughout your life, and it'll change. And I just think Greta does such an amazing job of portraying that. And she's always
Y-
like, she's just, I mean, our entire cast is amazing. So literally, I could just
Yeah,
sing praises about all of
exactly.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. It, it to your point about the mental health story, you all have done such a great service, I think, to destigmatizing mental health, and especially especially with this journey. Oh my gosh, please don't. I'm not going to cry. But it's truly been so special, because I think that in some way, shape, or form, we either deal with it ourselves, or we're in sort of like, we know someone that's very close to us that goes through this. And so showing that, I think, especially, with this group of people in this community, I think, and sometimes in the Black community, it's like stigmatized even more so. So it's just great to see this on television. And I really appreciated you all coming back in this episode and showing that it's a journey, that it doesn't always go right. Like, that it's like she was just like, I'm better, like, but also that she still had to work through some things, and it doesn't take just 2 therapy sessions, right? Or, a couple of weeks. That it really is a journey. So yeah, that story in particular, I think, has resonated with me, and with a lot of other fans.
I'm glad. I'm really, really glad.
Yeah. Yeah. I only have, I think, a couple more questions for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Um, what's it's I was just like, oh, we're gonna get to the happy stuff, and then it's another sentimental question. But what's kept you dedicated to this set and these characters for 6 years? Because you've been here since the beginning.
Yeah, I just um so my like silly version is that I went to an all girls high school, like an all girls Catholic high school. So all of my like high school and like young adult stuff literally comes from television. I'm like I didn't go to real high school. I everything I wish I experienced I see on TV. So part of me is just like, yes, reliving the high school stuff I did not get to live for real. Like a prom with like a co-ed. I mean, we had a co-ed prom, but it was like, oh, like I
It
brought
was
like my.
different. Yeah,
It was
exactly.
different. Um, it just all the fun stuff that I imagine would happen as a young adult. And then also the other thing is, it is an aspirational show. I think that's something that comes up in the writers' room a lot. Is that we remind each other that like it's aspirational. We're like trying to create a show where we're like people are good and happy and get like and like of course doesn't mean they won't have complications and they won't have like struggles, but like they're gonna come out on top and they're gonna like have good things happen to them. And also like come on the ships.
I was literally gonna ask you. So I was just like, I was gonna ask you a question about the ships, but then I took it out. But now I'm gonna take it back in and be
Take
like,
it
so
back
what
in.
are your favorite ships? Your favorite ship moments?
Oh my gosh, okay, the Cotillion, Mike and Dave's episode of
Mm.
the Cotillion, I will never stop thinking about. That's like
Oh
my Roman
yeah.
Empire.
It is.
Because it's just so good, and it's just so good. But
Not
literally,
all guys can read minds. Liv, you can. I love it.
yes.
I love it. Listen, it's iconic.
Um, but like literally, Daniel and Sim just like have such great chemistry together on screen, and they've had 6 years to like cultivate it and like learn how the other person like acts, and like it's just they're so fantastic together.
Yeah.
Um, but like, and also all of our actors are so pretty.
Yeah, that too. That too. They're
That
very nice to
too.
look at. Yeah.
They're very nice to look at, and it helps that they're also just very nice people in real life. So you're just like, wow, you have it all. Like, what is this? Um, but it's so funny because I think everyone knows this now that in the pilot, Olivia was bisexual.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was like, my bisexual queen, my icon. Um, so
She's
like,
still listen. Let me assure you, she's still people's bisexual queen and icon.
good, good, because I've talked to Sam about it, and we're both just like, we're like, wait, she's our bi rep. Like, we love her. Like,
She is.
do we see it? Like, we've headcanoned it, like we have
You're
our
not the
little
only
vision.
ones. You're not the only ones.
But just these characters are so fun, and watching them grow up, and like, I know I wasn't like in high school, but it just felt like I was, because like I ended up meeting my now husband like right at the end of season 1. So like,
Yeah.
as everyone on the show had their relationship problems and complications, I was navigating my first
You're
like
literally
adult
you're going
relationship.
through it with the characters.
I'm like, and then we pulled to Jordan. We actually went to Vegas this year, and we like eloped, and then we had to tell our families. But I mean, obviously, at least we were adults when we did it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's so fun. I love the show, and I love that they haven't been afraid of like touching on the hard subjects.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I'm like a prison abolitionist and very ACAB, and I have a lot of like cops in my family, so they've always been like, why is your show so harsh on us? And I'm like, because you deserve it.
It is very bold, and I love it. I do social justice work too, so it's like, yeah, it is so bold, speaking truth to power. I love it.
Yeah, and there's just so much. It hasn't been afraid to like take its foot off the gas pedal, and I just really love that. And also just the fans kept me going. Like they like watching that other people love this, like having that community of fandom. So I was a big The 100 girly on the CW.
I do know
and having my people I talked with every week that were like, oh my god, that episode of The 100, and da da da. And look, I get it, as a fan of The 100. I don't know if you guys know, I too had moments where I was like, oh, they didn't do this thing. So like, I get it when you don't get what you want, and I'm very sorry, but like, just keep watching the show. That's all I can say.
Exactly.
Keep watching.
Just keep watching. Keep watching it. I love it. Last question. This is a little bit more random. What's your favorite teen drama outside of All American?
Oh, that's a hard question. So, The 100 means a lot to me. I loved The 100. But I will say, Awkward on MTV was so good. Awkward is like,
I've never seen it, but I've heard good things.
It's really good. Awkward's really fun. I know I'm not picking any of the like classics right now, which is kind of wild, but Awkward, and then I think I'd have to say Teen Wolf actually had the most like influence on me as a writer. So I love Teen Wolf. I love like it had all that like delicious high school drama, but with the added supernatural element. And like a little, like a touch of diversity. They were like, we tried a little bit.
We added a sprinkle in for you.
A little sprinkle in for you. So like, I'm like,
That's
okay,
amazing.
I'll take it. So actually the pilot I wrote that got me staffed and got me my manager was very like inspired by Teen Wolf. So like the essence of like the relationships and the friends and there being a supernatural element that was like, I want that, but I want it like modern and more diverse and like gay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to write anything straight. And my poor husband's like, oh, she talks to our cats and he's like, Mama's going back to her lesbian fantasies where we don't exist. And I'm like,
yep. You're like, yep, I am. I love it. Thank you so much for chatting with me. Thank you for
Thank you for
taking this
having
time out of
me.
your day. Congratulations again on the 100th episode.
Thank you. Thank
It
you.
was so great talking to you.
It was so great chatting with you. If there's anything I could ever talk about, like the industry and working in it, and like,
yeah,
I'm happy to chat with anyone listening. I love helping people. If people hadn't helped me, I wouldn't be where I am. So like, if I could help you, please hit me up.
Follow her on Twitter and say X, and say nice things. And say nice things.
You don't have to say nice things. Just don't at me if you're going to say something mean.